Yeah, it's good to be here. Yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to be here. Wow, it's my first time on TikTok Live, and I expect it's going to be a wonderful time. You know, I just want to share thoughts with us, aligning yourself with the will of God. You know, we are in a society where many times our parents just want children to walk in line of what to them seems to be in vogue. Take for instance, years go back then while we were in school. Now every parent wants his or her daughter or son to become a doctor, a lawyer, you know, believing that those were actually promising feed, for a lot of them. But we've seen that that narrative and that trend has changed. You know, 30, 35, 20 years ago, we never knew that Facebook, TikTok, YouTube would surface. And so our parents' mindset were limited. And so many at times, a lot of persons have gone into feeds that were actually not what they were designed to do, but they were only trying to obey, or like I use that word, honor their parents. And take for instance, I met a young man some time ago, and this guy is into music. He likes singing. He's a good musician, and I heard some of his songs, and I love those songs. And I asked him what he was doing about some of those songs. He said he was going to some of these hangars to do his song, and some of his songs were in Spotify and Apple chart like that. So this guy is actually good. I heard some of his song, but the father insisted that he studies law, and so for that, the father had to tell him to, the father had to move him from Lagos back to Imo State where they came from, so that because to the father, music was taking his time and he was not really having enough time to be online to actually focus on his academics. And so his father had to send him to the village. So we're discussing, and this young man told me that he was going to do the law, but he was just going to do it for the father, not because he wanted to, you know, not because he actually wanted to do the law, but he was trying to do it for the father. And so a lot of us have find ourselves in that situation where we do things not because we actually wanted to, but the society has confined us to do some things, and many people don't actually find fulfillment. So it has become an hustling, a survivor series. So many times we don't align ourselves with what actually we actually want. But the narratives are changing right now. The narratives are changing, and so it will be proper that, irrespective of sometimes I know fear, and sometimes trying to be safe. You just want to be safe. Okay, might just go do this medicine, make I this safe, or make I just go to school, make I this safe. Trying to be safe, you take some of those routes. But the truth is that at the end, you may find out that you're not fulfilled, you're not happy, you're not joyful. Even if you have money from them, you are not fulfilled. There's this, feelings you don't have that. So it is good to align ourselves with actually the will of God for our lives, what God actually wants us to be. You know, recently I was studying my Bible, and I was looking at the book of Luke, chapter 11, you know, verse I think verse 2, when he said, when you pray, say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Now, in as much as there's a corporate will of God for humans, there's also individual will of God for every one of us. And so there's a blueprint of heaven that is concerning your life. And we can see that in the book of Jeremiah, where the prophet Jeremiah was writing, and in Jeremiah 1 verse 5, it says, Before I formed thee in the womb, I knew thee. And before you came out of the womb, I sanctified thee as a prophet to the nation. So God knew him and already sanctified him to become prophet. Now, if Jeremiah had decided to look at what was in that time in his time, he would have missed what he was actually anointed and ordained for. I'm a king. It's good to have you around. So he would have missed what what was actually ordained for him. He would have missed it. And so every one of us, there's something before we were formed, before we were born, God knew some things about us. And within our spirit, within our inner man, you feel it. You just know this is what I feel I should be doing. This is what I feel I should be doing. It may not be a conventional thing. It may not be something that aligns with, with just, but within your spirit, you just know. So I want to encourage someone to take step. Don't be afraid of failures, because many times we're afraid, and sometimes we like, okay, if I know obey my mama now, if I know hear my mama word now, if he maybe later now I can't go regret. We've seen the situation where people decide to follow a path, and somehow nothing came out of that path, and it's like as if nothing happened. It's like their life is still done. Like, okay, if you now hear words like if you had gone to do this and I asked you to do, you wouldn't have been here. People following their passion, and yet maybe their passion is not actually paying off the way it ought to pay. But even if it's not paying off the way it ought to pay, the fulfillment and the joy you get from it, and that's where contentment come in. There's this joy and fulfillment that comes from what you are actually ordained to do, what you actually came into this world to do. But our culture, our system in this part of the world, Africa as a whole, has sometimes made a lot of us, not to actually follow the actual path that God has for us, that God has ordained for us, because of what our society is, and because of what I call it now, the system of our government. In Western world, people just follow their heart, follow what because they know, even if they don't make it, even if they don't, in quotes, there's provisions, that the government give to them, incentive like that, and they will still have some kind of relief, But in our nation, in this part of the world, you may not be like that. And so a lot of people get discouraged, a lot of people get afraid, and so just to make I just secure my destiny. It's good to secure your destiny. It's awesome. But many times, it may not actually give you that fulfillment you need. And there's nothing as fulfillment, because this life is one. Once your time come, you go. You don't have enough time to actually have that fulfillment. Money is wonderful, money is sweet, but sometimes money is not everything, even though money answers all things. But there's this fulfillment that comes from doing what makes you happy. There's this fulfillment that comes from doing what gives you joy. There's this fulfillment that comes from, you know, doing what you love doing. You just love doing this, but our culture sometimes makes it difficult, and our our definition of success, which is the biggest problem in this part of the world. Our definition of success is our challenge. How we define success. We attach success to the amount of money you have in your bank account, the numbers of houses you have, the numbers of cars you drive, the exorbitant life you live, you know, so that's what our society has defined success to be. And that's the reason why you see our young men, you know, dabbling into things that they're not supposed to do because they just want to be part of what they think and call success, what our society has decided to call success. And so you see a lot of, recently I saw a video, where a young boy, some young boys were caught. They said they were in a particular house, and then one of the boy was 16, one was 19, one was 21. 16 years old. He's already, involved in some fetish things just to make money. Why? Because of what the society has defined, and it's everywhere, not just in the secular, even in the church. What the church now define as success is the big auditorium, the flamboyant lifestyle of the pastor, the car he drives, the people that follows him. These are some of the things that have not been termed success. And so the young man who has passion, who hasn't seen this thing yet, now feels he's not even doing well. And so he doesn't rate himself. But the truth is, success is actually doing what you're called to this world to do. And you're doing it with all your heart, and you're having your fulfillment and joy in it. That's success. Doing what God wants you to do, that's what success is. No, our Lord Jesus Christ came into this world and he finished his course. He said, I have finished. He said, it is finished. The Apostle Paul said, I have finished my course. I've run a good way. He didn't have enough cars. He didn't have enough houses. He didn't have all these things. But he said, I have finished my course. So coming into this world, knowing what God wants you to do and doing it right, even if you make mistake, doing it and getting joy from it. That's what true success is. True success is giving your best to the things you do and seeing that you are affecting lives in your own way. Not every one of us are called to have, serious affluence and impact. Some of us, our impact could just be within our local communities. Some of us, our impact could just be within our family. Some of us, our impact could be within our local government, within our state, and some, globally. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that you're not having impact. No, that doesn't mean you're not having impact. If you go to the Bible, we have major prophet and we have minor prophet. We have prophets whose book of the Bible is not more than 3 pages. We have prophet in the Bible whose books are up to 10, 20, 15 pages. But they are all prophet. They all did what God called them to do. And so Jesus told us about the talent. The one who had 5, the one who had 2, and the one who had 1. And the one who had 5 had multiplied his own. The one who had 2 multiplied his own. And the one who had 1 didn't multiply his own. But you see, at that various capacity, they were given things to do. So the capacity to which you have come into this world, and that's how you influence people and your impact, and you do within the capacity you've been given, and that's your. And if you do it well, that's success. That's success. Not every one of us are called to be popular. Not every one of us are called to have fame. Not every one of us are called to be celebrities. But in your little way, where you are, in your little way, the much impact you can make in your little. You don't need to be big to make impact, And so aligning yourself with, your true identity, what God actually, ordained you to be, aligning yourself with it is the best thing that can ever happen to you. And so that Luke I just spoke about, where Jesus was teaching his disciples how to pray, that line was a response to a question the disciples asked. The disciples said, Lord, teach us how to pray. So he said, when you pray, say this. And one of the things he said you should say in the place of prayer is that let there be alignment on earth with what is written concerning in heaven, which is thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Now I'm addressing this now to us as individuals. Yes, there's a corporate will of God for all man, but there's an individual will of God, which we saw in the life of Jeremiah, where God told Jeremiah that I knew you from your mother's womb, and I ordained you and sanctified you a prophet. So, while we have the corporate, we have the individual. And I'm talking about the individual alignment. There is the will of God concerning your life written in heaven. And so Jesus is saying, when you pray, that means it becomes your responsibility to pray and ask God to, reveal to you or align you with his original will for your destiny. So that becomes your responsibility in the place of prayer. Because if you also study that book, Jeremiah 29 verse 11, he says, I know the thoughts that I think towards you. And went forth to say that this thought is the thought of good, not of evil. He said, to bring you to an expected end. Now, he says, then you will come to pray to me, and you will call on me, and you will seek me with your heart, and you will find me. So he also mentioned that you will pray. Again, I think in Jeremiah also, in Jeremiah 30 verse 33, it says, call on me and I will show you great and mighty things you do not know. So it is your responsibility in the place of prayer to begin to ask God to actually align you with what he has written about you in heaven. It is your responsibility. Nobody will do that for you. I won't do that for you. Your parents will do that for you. And it takes parents who are highly intelligent and parents who are awesome to know that my child likes it. Because sometimes, many of us sometimes display some of these things in our day-to-day life. And sometimes we may not really even know that, sometimes we may not really even know that this is where our destiny, is. But sometimes sometimes you may even have some friends that are like, why not do this? Why not do that? Why not? Okay, let me give you an instance. My late elder brother, while we were growing up, he was good at drawing. He could draw. He could just look at anything and draw. He was just good at drawing. And so, while we were in school, he got into the secondary, got into secondary school, and due to peer pressure, because a lot of that happened to a lot of us, peer pressure. Some of us had no business being in science classes, but because our crew, some of our friends were already in science classes, we had to join them. Some of us had, like, for instance, me, I did science, I studied geology in university, but I would have done better if I had done law. I would have done better. The truth is that I'm still regretting today. Now, if I had studied law in school, I would have done better, highly better. But I had to, because then, well, friends like that, all my friends were into sciences. I had to go into science like that. I studied geology in school. I came out with 2-2, you know. But if I had done law, I would have done better. If I had done law, And sometimes I still wish if I have enough time that I'll still go back to school to do law. But if I had done law, I would have been better. So my elder brother, could draw. He knows how to draw. And so I just due to peer pressure, he now came and said, Daddy, I want to do engineering. My daddy looked at him and said, what's wrong with you? You can't do engineering. My dad said, you won't do engineering, because that's why I say some parents can help. My dad told him, you can't do engineering, that you would do architecture. He wasn't happy with it. He was like, no, 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 my friends are doing engineering, blah, 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 blah. He wasn't comfortable with it. But my dad said, no, you're going to do architecture. And somehow, my dad was able to convince him, and he actually went and did architecture. And my brother was excellent in his class, man. The guy was good. In fact, while he was in school as an architecture student, he was already taking care of his bills. He was taking care of his bills in school, because he could draw very well. So sometimes I remember those days where this drawing frame, this natural draw, you draw frame and you give to your friends to give to their girlfriend, give to their girlfriends. So my brother will always draw like that, and for his friends at that time, and they were giving to their girlfriends, and they were paying him money, they were paying him like that. And so sometimes, even my brother hardly call home for money. He went to UNEC, University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. So he hardly called home. He was already taking care of his bees while he was in school. And while he was in school, he was already doing some architectural work. And he came out from school, and man, that guy, he's so happy doing what he's doing. You know, he's so happy. Once his music is on, he's always drawing. He's doing his drawing like that. You see, my dad was able to understand him, and this is what my son is. This is what my son likes, and so my dad didn't force him and say go and do medicine or go and do law. Because. So even myself too. When I came and told my dad I wanted to do, I wanted to do computer science. My dad said, "What's computer science?" That I should leave computer science. That's how typewriting came, and people were running around into typewriting, and now typewriting has fizzled out. That which one is computer science? And my dad insisted that I should go and do law, because my grandfather was a lawyer, and so my grandfather was late at that time, and so his chamber was just there. Nobody was, some lawyer rented the chamber. And my dad was like, "Who is going to take care of this chamber?" You know, but my dad didn't have a lot of grip on me like he had on my elder brother, and because I didn't really stay with him. I stayed with my mom, so I was coming once in a while. So he didn't really have that kind of grip like he had with my elder brother. So my dad told me. I remember that time he told me, and if I had listened to my dad, I would have done law. But then I felt I had already gone too far because I was already a science student. So going back to start doing, art courses like that again. But if I sacrificed 1 year to do law, I would have enjoyed it, because one, I don't like people being oppressed. I like my rights. I like a lot of this. It's just within my. So I wish I had done law. What I'd done law, I would have a lot of cases, a lot of people's problem. I would just be taken up, because there's this passion I have to always want to. When I see people being oppressed, I can walk on the road now, and I see people, somebody be oppressed. I will stop. I will just want to see how I can be of help. So, so, so so if I had done that law, I think I would have done better in my life. I'm still doing better now, but I would have done better. So that was a part of my life I missed. I missed that part of my life, and many of us are in that situation where we know that some of the things we are doing, we're not really fulfilled with it. We're not happy, but it's not late. Like I told you guys, I will still go back to do law. Yes, I will still go back to do law. It's just a matter of time. I will go back. I will do that law. I don't care the time, but I will do it. I'll do the law, and I'll be fulfilled. So and now we must not allow these things to repeat with the next generation, with our children. Our children are coming up. They are growing up right now, and like I told my wife one of these days, I said, look, I don't want to hear that you spank my children because of school. That he's not doing well in school, you're not spanking him, or he didn't do this well, you're not spanking. No, don't do that. You would not. I will not take that from you. And the reason I say that is because the kind of education system that was given to us is an education system that makes us to be dependable. That even after university, you are still dependable. You are dependable, and those narratives are changing. Those narratives are already changing. So parents should be able to look at their children, why they are young, and see the area, what they like, what they love doing, and encourage them into that path. Other than you trying to enforce your own will, enforce your own thought on them because you feel your neighbor's son is doing computer engineering, and so you want your son to also do computer engineering, or your neighbor's son is doing this, you want your own son to also do that. Your neighbor's son is doing that, and you want your own son to. So you begin to force your children to do what they are not wired to do, and so they will begin to struggle. Something happened recently, with one of my aunties. I remember that the daughter had admission to study history, but they insisted that no, it must be law, and so she didn't go to school that year. So the next year she wrote JAMB again, and somehow, they made their way, and she got into law. And currently the girl should be in 400 level right now, but the truth is that she's not doing well. Her result is crying. She's even having an extension. From what I see in her result, she's already having an extension. Why? Because parents just want their children to feel among. It's not right. It's not right. Today, we see people, we see YouTubers, we see content creators, we see people who are doing more better than people who even went to school. So doing what people who went to school. I'm not saying school is not good. School is awesome. It helps you in the way you relate and the way you handle issues. But you see, our traditional system of school in Africa, it's not structured such a way that we can be productive. He structures it in such a way that we are dependable. How do you find that an engineer in Nigeria, after his graduation, and he can't really do anything in the workshop? It's all he needs to do is paper. So when he even gets the job to work in a firm, he's still on paper. I remember many years ago while we were in school, and I think one of the days we went to the department and we were asking them where's resistor, and some of them didn't even know what resistor is already, but on paper they were like, oh, resistor is this, but they don't even know where it is. And so our traditional system of school makes us dependable. You as a parent, you spend money for your children to go to school, and they come, and after graduating from school, you still give them money stipends, and they now start carrying papers looking for a job. And sometimes some end up doing teaching jobs, some end up doing some maniac job. I remember my cousin who graduated as political scientist was working in the bank at that time. I saw the cousin who was an engineer working in the bank, because it's just a survival system. And so people don't study what they actually do in life. They just study, get a certificate because parents want them to do that. And so that kind of system is fading away. So as parents right now, the status quo is changing. It's seriously changing. And so we must see to it that our children, our word, that we study them while they are young, and see to it that we align them with what they have passion and what they love doing. I study my son, and I find out that he likes fighting. He's always watching, anytime he's he's always watching films that has to do with, these cartoons that have to do with fight like that, bish, 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 bish. So I just saw him. Okay, since I'm not actually getting a clear picture of what this boy really want to be, so I just asked to enroll him for a karate class. I enrolled him for a karate class. So every weekend he goes off for karate class. Let's just be there doing what he likes, and he enjoys it. In fact, he prepares himself if you want. Before he's the one that prepares himself. You don't remind him. You don't remind him. He loves it, and so we are to put our children where they have passion and they have feelings. Don't because of what other people are doing, what your neighbors are doing, and because of that you want your children to no. Study them, know what they love, and 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 push them into it. Because once at that little age, they begin to work with what they love, their passion. Now, before they grow to a level, that passion is already producing money for them. They're already earning from that passion. There's a woman close to my house. You know, she has a shop where she sells. She has three children, a boy and two girls. That she has a shop. She's also a businesswoman. Now the first daughter already is already handling the business. Sometimes the woman goes to market for hours. Like sometimes she goes to market to buy things in bulk. The daughter handles. In fact, we call the daughter manager. She handles the business. While the son, there's this generator repair that is also in the same with them, the same line with them, because there's another shop where there's a generator repair. So the son always go there to learn. And currently the son can service generator. And so sometimes if we don't want your guy to come and service the generator, we'll have to call the boy to come and service the generator. So I come and service the generator, we'll give him tippers. A small boy. I have a pastor friend whose daughter during this Christmas made a lot of money because my pastor friend, his wife's shop is opposite directly to a salon. So the daughter said he wanted to learn how to make hair. And so the girl started making hair, and she would come to the mother's shop, when after school they come to the mother's shop. Instead of going home, they come to the mother's shop. From there she goes to where she makes her hair, sometimes 2-3 hours there, 4 hours there, last Christmas, see how this girl was making people's hair, and she was already earning. She's just in SS2, already earning, already making hair. And they were paying, some they paying her 4,000, some they paying her, because some people prefer to use her. Why? Because what they would have been charged 10,000, and she may not charge 5,000, be based on, because she's a small girl. But already in SS2, she's already earning. So some of the money the parents spent in buying things for her on Christmas, she earned them already. She earned them herself. And so you see, by the time she gets to university, she's already earning. She already have a skill. So she's still going to school. She's already earning. And that was why many of us are still very dependent. Many of us it's like things are not really working because we just went to school and study everything, they pack everything ahead, theory. We only have few practical courses. And all the courses we have that are practical is medicine, and architecture. Now, I've seen some pharmacists who came out of pharmaceutical school. They came out of pharmacy. Now, sometimes going to chemists to relearn, to not learn. They just know the drugs by name. They know the drugs by head, but the real drugs they've not really seen. That's how our system has been. That's how the Nigerian system is. That's how we are configured to. We have been configured to be dependent. And the truth is that African is great. This country is blessed. We are so blessed. Nigerians are intelligent, but you see, we have been configured, and we must change the narrative. It's our responsibility. So that book of Luke we looked at says, pray, saying this when you pray. So it's your responsibility it's not too late. It's not too late to go back to what you love. Now the only thing is that, yes, it may tell on you, it may stress you a little bit, like that's if you're currently not financially buoyant, it may stress you a little bit, but at the end it will pay you. I know of somebody who, while she was growing up, the mom actually wanted her to become a nurse. That was what the mom wanted her to become while she was growing up. But she, out of fair pressure too, she also wanted to do science courses. And she actually ended up studying library and information science. So by then she was done, she actually went to do her master's. And, man, no work anywhere. She applied, and finally started teaching in one of these primary schools. And then she was earning. She said earning 10,000. Later, she now went on that school. They gave her 15,000. On that one, now gave her 20,000. The last school she went was paying her 25,000, and that's what she was earning. You know, until summer. We met one of these days and we're talking, and I encouraged her. I said, okay, why not why not go to a chemist and learn about pharmacies? And I said, okay, that's fine. So she did that for a year. When she was done, and I said, okay, why not just even go to one of these hospitals and learn auxiliary nurses? And she also went and did the auxiliary nursing for 1 year. I think a year, 3 months, and the hospital retained her. Currently, she's working in the hospital. And, she cannot deliver. She can suture. She can, there's nothing she can. She treats people. In fact, apart from what the hospital pay her, sometimes in a week, what she gets from people she goes to treat. That's what her mom actually wanted her to do. That's where her passion is. But but because of peer pressure, because of friends, and so we must be very careful and also see how to guide our children. We must study what they are doing currently so that our lifestyle and our patterns don't repeat with them. Some of us are privileged to, on time know this is what we actually liked. This, like some people go into music, go into whatever. That is not paying, that doesn't mean that it's not going to pay. So this is just a few thoughts I feel like I should share with some of us today. It's just a thought, and I believe it's something that we should look into, and it will definitely benefit and profit us. Like I said, it's not late to go back to do what you have passion for, because at the end of this day, you're trying to survive, and even the surviving is not even enough. And this life is one. You don't have second life. You don't have a second chance, and time is not on your side. Every day break, you're getting closer to your grave. You're aging, and so there's no time in your life. And the days come. The Bible call it the evil days, when you won't have pleasure for those things. That days come when your cells are weak, when your body are weak. And so you can't end up with regrets. Like you just keep regretting and say, which I knew. So if you're still within your confines of your age where you still have strength, there's nothing wrong pursuing your dreams, pursuing what you have passion, what you have pleasure for, what you have, and many times, once your passion actually determines that you're actually in line with what God ordained for you. Because once you are in that your passion, most time you don't really care what comes out of it. You there's this joy and this fulfillment that comes when you're always in it, even if it's not giving you money. But there's this joy and fulfillment. That joy that comes from that thing that you do that gives you joy. Even if money does not come from it, but it gives you real joy. You just feel fulfilled, feel happy. You feel so light doing it. That's one of the areas you have been ordained for. And look into it, see how you can get people who have been there, because another way is to know people who have been there and see how you can learn from them, see how you can ask questions. And I know you will definitely align with what God has ordained for you. And so it is your responsibility to pray. If you don't you can't hear God to say, sometimes God may not actually tell you, hey, go and do this. No. But I just told you how you will know. There's this joy and fulfillment that comes from doing what you have been ordained and sanctified for. It's just so easy. When you are in that area, you just see it so easy. And I know once you walk in it, you have joy. And also, see to it that if you already have children, see to it that you guide them, study them while they are young, and help them align with their destiny, and help them see how they can start earning even while they are still schooling. And that makes things light for you. Thank you, and it's good. Thank you so much all for joining my life. It's so good to see you guys, and so nice. Moreover, this is my first time of doing live on TikTok, and I hope I would continue on this space, and we'll always have good time together. Thank you, and have a nice day, and sleep tight. Sleep very tight. God bless every one of you.